morning, neighbor.
Yeah. I hate these people.
Why don't we sit down? Gee, I'm kind of embarrassed. I have nothing to serve you.
Yeah, listen, if you're hungry, there's a store a few blocks away.
A couch, a hand down the pants, a door slams, and a man who hates his job, his neighbours, and sometimes his own life. This wasn't warm. It wasn't wholesome. It wasn't trying to teach you anything. It was Married with Children, and it shocked America. It launched a network. It offended watchdog groups. It redefined the American sitcom, and it almost got cancelled after just a few episodes. Tonight, we separate fact from fable. If you remember the Bundys, or weren't supposed to be watching them, hit subscribe, because this show changed television in ways no one predicted. When Married with Children premiered in 1987, Fox wasn't even taken seriously. It was the fourth network, low budget, no prestige, no hits. Then came the Bundys, a shoe salesman who hated customers, a wife who hated housework, two kids who insulted each other daily, and no life lessons. Creator Michael Moy said they wanted the opposite of The Cosby Show. No moral wrap-up, no hugging it out, just frustration and laughter. And audiences loved it. Here's where it gets wild. In 1989, a Michigan homemaker named Terry Rakolta launched a public protest against the show. She wrote to advertisers demanding they pull their support, calling it anti-family. Sponsors did pull ads, and ratings? They doubled. If you thought the protest nearly killed the show, you'd be wrong. Fact, it turned it into a phenomenon. Fox leaned into it. Promos bragged about being too hot for sponsors. Controversy became marketing. And suddenly, Married with Children wasn't just edgy, it was essential viewing. Al Bundy could have been cruel. He could have been unwatchable. But Ed O'Neill made him human. A little-known fact was that O'Neill played Al with subtle sadness, not just sarcasm. And if you watch closely, you'll see it. The pauses, the slumped posture, the micro-smiles. Al wasn't written as purely lazy. He was written as disappointed. That nuance made the show work. Without it, Al would have been unbearable. Katey Sagal's Peggy wasn't a nag. She was theatrical. Big hair, big laugh, big presence. And here's something many fans don't know. Katey Sagal was pregnant during filming in season 6. The writers tried to write it into the show, then reversed it with a now infamous "it was all a dream" twist. Some thought the pregnancy was faked for ratings, but in reality, it was real and tragically ended in miscarriage. The show handled it quietly, and Sagal returned with the same explosive energy. Every great sitcom needs a foil. For the Bundys, it was the neighbours. First came Steve and Marcy Rhodes, upwardly mobile, tidy, responsible, everything Al despised. Steve was the straight man, Marcy was tightly wound and perpetually offended. Then suddenly, Steve disappeared. If you thought the actor was fired, you'd be wrong. The fact is, David Garrison, who played Steve, chose to leave to return to theatre. The show pivoted hard. Enter Jefferson Darcy, a smooth, unemployed, charming, and absolutely useless addition. And that changed everything. The dynamic shifted from responsible versus irresponsible to irresponsible versus even more irresponsible. Jefferson wasn't there to challenge Al, he was there to enable him. And it worked. The tone got sillier, looser, more cartoonish. Some fans preferred Steve, others loved the chaos Jefferson brought. But either way, the show survived the swap, which is rare in sitcom history. If you watched the later seasons, you'd remember it. No Ma'am, the fictional club founded by Al and his buddies, national organisation of men against Amazonian masterhood. It was absurd, over the top, satirical. But here's the interesting part. No Ma'am wasn't meant as a serious anti-feminist statement. The fact was, it was written as exaggerated parody. The writers leaned so far into the ridiculousness that it became obvious satire. matching bowling shirts, secret meetings in the shoe store, overblown speeches about manhood. The joke wasn't that Al hated women. The joke was that he felt powerless. And instead of addressing it maturely, he started a club. It was insecurity wrapped in comedy, and the audiences got it. Here's something viewers often notice when they re-watch. The laugh track is loud, very loud. But Fox didn't artificially boost laughter in post-production, as the show was filmed in front of a live audience that lost its mind. The audience treated tapings like events, standing ovations for Al, cheering when he roasted Marcy, roaring applause for classic insults. Producers reportedly had to ask the crowd to quiet down because jokes were being drowned out. Unlike many sitcoms of the time, the laughter wasn't canned energy, it was chaos, and it fed the performers. One of the smartest creative decisions that the writers made was that Al never truly wins. He dreams big, he schemes, he fantasizes, and then reality snaps back. The show didn't glorify laziness, it showed the consequences of stagnation. Al is funny because he's stuck. He talks about his high school football glory days, scoring 4 touchdowns in a single game, and yet he never moves forward. That's the tragedy under the comedy. The writers knew that if Al actually succeeded, the premise would collapse. So he stayed where he was, and that consistency made the show strangely honest. Kelly Bundy was written as the stereotypical dumb blonde, but Christina Applegate quietly gave her depth. Kelly wasn't malicious. She wasn't mean. She was impulsive and occasionally naive, but often kinder than anyone else in the house. And Bud, written as the awkward, desperate younger brother. But David Faustino played him with self-awareness. Bud anyone cool, and he knew he wasn't cool. And that self-awareness became the joke. Together, Kelly and Bud gave the show generational balance. Remember, this was late 80s network TV. NBC and ABC were polished. CBS was traditional. Fox had nothing to lose. They allowed sharper jokes, meaner punchlines, fewer moral lessons, because they needed identity. Married with Children became that identity. It told viewers, this network isn't playing safe. And that branding decision shaped Fox for years. For a show that broke rules for a decade, its ending was strangely quiet. No grand farewell, no emotional montage, no one last insult. Fox didn't give it a big send-off. It ended abruptly in 1997 after 11 seasons. There was no planned goodbye episode. One week it aired, the next week it didn't. Cast members have said they didn't even realise the final episode had aired until months later. It wasn't cancelled for scandal. It wasn't ratings collapse. It was simply fatigue. After 259 episodes, the machine slowed, and the Bundys quietly left the couch. After playing Al Bundy for 11 years, Ed O'Neill faced a serious problem. He was too iconic. Producers struggled to see him as anyone else. He'd become the slouch, the sarcasm, the hand-in-pants guy. But O'Neill wasn't typecast permanently. He reinvented himself. More than a decade later, he returned as Jay Pritchett on Modern Family, a completely different father figure, still dry, still flawed, but warmer, more evolved. That second act reintroduced him to a whole new generation and proved Al Bundy didn't define him, it launched him. Katey Sagal could have stayed known as the big hair wife, but she didn't. She went on to voice Leela in Futurama, win a Golden Globe for Sons of Anarchy, and become one of television's most versatile actresses. Peggy Bundy didn't limit her career. She showcased her timing and fearlessness. Under the wigs and leopard print was a performer with range. And Hollywood eventually caught up. Christina Applegate had one of the hardest transitions. Kelly Bundy was a cultural punchline. Breaking away from that image required risk. She chose comedy first, then drama, then vulnerability. Applegate later revealed her own health challenges, including a breast cancer diagnosis and later multiple sclerosis. Instead of retreating, she continued working and advocating. The woman once known as the dumb blonde became one of the industry's most respected performers. Strip away the insults, strip away the laugh track. What's left? A family under financial pressure, a man stuck in nostalgia, a woman bored with domestic expectations, kids trying to find identity in chaos. Sound familiar? The Bundys weren't aspirational, they were relatable, just louder. They showed dysfunction without pretending to fix it, and that felt real.